Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, April 26th. I'm Laura Cornfield, and this is IBA News broadcasting live from Jerusalem. We open with reports of a possible visit by U.S. President Donald Trump to Israel next month. A senior Israeli official said that discussions are underway to coordinate Trump's first visit to the country. The official stressed the discussions are in their initial stages, and as yet, no substantial arrangements have been made. Attempts to coordinate such a visit come amid the visit of senior Palestinian delegations' visit to Washington this week to finalize the slated meeting between Trump and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Washington in May. The Foreign Ministry this morning held its annual memorial ceremony for diplomats who died while serving as Israel's representatives around the world. Speaking at the event, Prime Minister and Acting Foreign Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that while Israel has managed to prevent many terror attacks in foreign embassies abroad, the Jewish state has experienced a series of its own heartbreaking tragedies. This wall, of which we gather every year, is evidence of that, he said. Netanyahu stressed that Israel's main strength is based on its moral and ethical position. He added that Israel's foreign service has become a tangible symbol of the state's sovereignty, which draws the ire of those who seek its destruction. Since the founding of the Jewish state, 16 people have been killed in its foreign service, including emissaries, office workers, security personnel, and family members. Addressing the bereaved families, the Prime Minister assured them the country will forever remember their loved ones and fulfill their wishes to ensure the future security, peace, and prosperity of our beloved country. Israel's ties with Germany are strong, important, and will continue, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared while explaining his decision to cancel his meeting with German Foreign Minister Sigmar Gabriel yesterday. Relations between the two countries took a turn for the worse after Netanyahu refused to meet with the German guest because of his meeting with NGOs breaking the silence and B'Tselem. Netanyahu said he refuses to meet with visiting diplomats who choose to meet with organizations that defame IDF soldiers and attempt to prosecute them as war criminals. The German foreign minister refused to accept a phone call from Netanyahu yesterday and told reporters that while he regrets Netanyahu's decision, Germany cannot become a political football for Israeli domestic policies. Meanwhile, a statement released by B'Tselem called on the international community to take action against Netanyahu and the government, who have no intention of ending the occupation. Last month's Israeli airstrike in Syria destroyed some 100 missiles that were to be delivered to Hezbollah, a senior IDF officer revealed. He refrained from releasing details of the kind of missiles destroyed, but in a briefing with reporters yesterday, noted the army has acted more than once inside Syria to destroy weapons slated for Hezbollah. His statements were a rare admission that Israel has taken military action inside Syria and represent a departure from Israel's usual policy of refraining to comment when accused of launching airstrikes. During last month's attack, Syrian anti-aircraft missiles fired at Israeli fighter jets, and for the first time, Israel deployed the Arrow missile defense system to intercept one of the Syrian missiles. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman warned that a military confrontation between the United States and North Korea could have a direct impact on Israel. This amid escalating tensions between Washington and Pyongyang and the threat of additional North Korean nuclear tests. Lieberman drew a direct link between the East Asian country and the Middle East, noting that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is a close ally of Syrian President Bashar Assad, stressing a direct path that goes from North Korea through Iran to Syria and Hezbollah. All share the same goal: to undermine world stability, he said. In an interview with the Walla news site, Lieberman noted that a North Korean nuclear crisis can potentially affect the entire world. Lieberman said while he doesn't wish to discuss scenarios, there is no such thing as a limited nuclear crisis. Meanwhile, in Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump has invited the entire Congress to attend a briefing on his policy for North Korea, which he views as a major national security threat. The meeting, scheduled later today, comes one day after North Korea held a huge military parade to mark the 85th anniversary of the founding of its army. Yesterday, the U.S. Army deployed an anti-missile defense battery in South Korea. Trump has already increased U.S. military presence in the region and leaned on China to pressure North Korea to halt its nuclear activities. Yet another incident in the Persian Gulf between an American warship and an Iranian vessel. A U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyer fired a warning flare today toward the Iranian Revolutionary Guard ship after it came within 1 kilometer close to it. A U.S. naval commander said the incident occurred Monday as the Iranian vessel attempted to draw closer to the USS Man despite the American warship's attempts to turn away from it. The Man made several attempts to contact the Iranian vessel, issuing warning messages and twice sounding the internationally recognized danger sign of 5 short blasts with the ship's whistle. The vessel later turned and sailed away. In January of this year, the USS Man fired warning shots at 4 Iranian vessels who headed towards the battleship at high speed near the Straits of Hormuz after they ignored radio requests to halt. Israel thwarted more than 120 cyber attacks in recent days that targeted organizations, government ministries, institutions, as well as individual accounts, the National Cyber Defense Bureau announced today. According to the Bureau, hackers from an academic institution and a business company posing as legitimate organizations sent emails with forged company security authorization in an attempt to breach the targets. The Bureau said it had succeeded in identifying the modus operandi of the hackers and the points of contact used to wage the attacks. The Bureau's announcement came just days after the country's top security echelon sent an angry letter to Prime Minister Netanyahu asking that a bill authorizing the Bureau be amended so as not to jeopardize state security. A Palestinian vehicle was set ablaze in a suspected so-called price tag attack overnight in the West Bank village of Hawara, south of Nablus. Local residents claim they have footage from surveillance cameras showing a group of settlers fleeing the scene. Authorities have launched an investigation, and details have yet to be announced. The incident comes just days after violent clashes erupted inside the village of Hawara when settlers threw stones at Palestinians, injuring several of them, including a 70-year-old woman who was hit in the head. In the West Bank town of Hawara near Nablus this afternoon, soldiers shot a Palestinian terrorist who attempted to stab them. No Israelis were wounded in the attack, and the terrorist was taken to hospital. Yesterday at the same site, soldiers also thwarted an attempted stabbing. For the first time in the history of the state, a female Muslim lawyer has been appointed to serve as a judge or qadi in the Muslim religious Sharia court. Hana Mansour Khatib was informed of her appointment after the Judicial Appointments Committee, led by Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked, voted in favor. While Mansour Khatib is setting a precedent in Israel, her Jewish counterparts are still barred from serving as judges in religious courts. Even though a number of Jewish women serve in local rabbinical councils, no female judges have been appointed. Considered an expert in Sharia law, Mansour Khatib is married with 4 children and lives in Tamra. Tragedy last night in the south of the country. 2 cousins aged 6 and 10 were killed in an explosion near their tent in a Bedouin encampment near Nevatim. Emergency services who reached the scene pronounced the 2 children dead. Police said an initial probe revealed the 2 had apparently played with unexploded ordnance left by the army in the area when it exploded and killed them. As part of an undercover operation in Beit Shemesh, 2 ultra-Orthodox males were arrested for physically attacking police officers who were dressed as soldiers. Police officials said yesterday's raid was part of ongoing operations aimed at cracking down on members of the ultra-Orthodox community who attack soldiers in uniform. In recent months, there have been a series of incidents where soldiers walking in religious neighborhoods have been assaulted by Haredi passers-by. It's that time of the year again that much of the Anglo-Israeli community has been waiting for. I'm referring, of course, to the annual Jacob's Ladder Festival, the unique musical and social event for lovers of all flavors of folk music, including bluegrass, Irish jigs, country, rock, and blues. Joining us now from our Tel Aviv studio in Tel Aviv is Natan Galula, who's part of the Jacks of Diamond Band. Natan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Hi.
There are lots of music festivals in Israel. What's so special about Jacob's Ladder?
Well, I think what's special about it is that it's just really kind of a chill festival where people can come, you know, I don't know, all generations. You can go with your parents and with your kids and just have a really nice and good time. I remember the first time I went there, you know, people just jamming all over the place, like in the tents area. Just really great music that normally you just wouldn't really see anywhere else. in Israel. So.
Nathan, this festival draws a lot of Anglo-Saxons, but there's also a good showing of second and third generation Sabras. Why is this kind of music popular in Israel?
Well, honestly, I don't know how popular it is. I mean, I don't think it's that popular, but I mean, I don't know. Blues music wasn't that popular 20 years ago, and it did pick up. So maybe because, I don't know, more people can listen on the internet, get more music. Bloggers, radio broadcasters, you know, the festival like Jacob's Ladder, so more people get to know it, and hopefully, you know, it will become much more popular.
Tell us a little bit about your band and how you got into this sort of music.
Well, I suppose, you know, I listen to musicians like Bob Dylan and Rambling Jack Elliott, Dave Van Ronk. I think it was, though, the Avett Brothers that really just got to me. I heard their music, you know, and I just couldn't believe what you can do with a banjo and a guitar. It just completely blew my mind. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do that too. And it's also, you know, it's really simple. You just pick up an acoustic guitar and you can play at a coffee shop. You can play outside in the street, you know, it's...
Well, then Nathan, let's hear it. Give us a song.
Okay. I'll also say that I have a debut album coming out this summer, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be fantastic. So
wonderful.
This is going to be on the album, and it's an Abrais version because he told me to play a short song. Fine, I want you to be mine. I just want you to stay by my side. You're so good, you're so cold. I'll keep you till I'm old, darling. The best thing I ever had in the world. Time I met you some years ago, I wasn't sure that it's what I needed, but then I learned to get used to you, my dear. Whiskey, 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 don't you ever leave me. So dangerous and free.
Nathan, best of luck with your album, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Nathan Galula. Good luck. And that's the Jacobs Music Festival, which opens on May 18th through the 20th. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave a warm welcome to participants of this year's International Bible Quiz.
I'm glad you came to Israel. I'm glad you're studying the Bible. I want you to know it in Hebrew, not Hebrewish. But that'll be for your next visit. ברוכים הבאים ובהצלחה. בהצלחה לכולכם. תודה רבה.
The Prime Minister greeted the students who came from around the world to compete in the quiz last night ahead of the next week's Independence Day annual competition. He told the teenage visitors that the Bible defines the beliefs, history, and ethical code of the Jewish nation, and its stories remain pertinent to this day. The event, now in its 54th year, will be broadcast live on Israel Television's Channel 1 on Tuesday morning. Ancient Caesarea, one of the most popular tourist sites in Israel, is undergoing an unprecedented renewal. The Israel Antiquities Authority and Nature and Parks Authority announced today that over 100 million shekels has been given by the Edmund de Rothschild Foundation to upgrade the ancient Roman era port and surrounding area and beaches. King Herod built the city 2,000 years ago for the Roman Emperor Augustus, and it flourished through the Byzantine and Crusader periods. The money will be used to conduct more archaeological digs and preservations, as well as for a new visitor center and promenade that will link the famous aqueduct to the ancient city. Caesarea is one of the richest archaeological sites in the country and displays scores of marbled statues. But it's believed that only about 6% of Caesarea's treasures have been discovered so far. Get your swim gear ready. The bathing season will officially kick off tomorrow, meaning that for some 6 months until the 19th of October, municipalities must offer rescue services along its beaches. Lifeguards will be on call at 144 public beaches across the country, enabling beachgoers to safely catch some waves, sun, and sand. 96 beaches along the Mediterranean Sea, 28 shores around the Sea of Galilee, 16 beaches at the Dead Sea, and 4 beaches at the Red Sea. Entrance to all the shores is free of charge. The Knesset plenum gathered for another special session today to finalize the second and third readings of the bill, which seeks to postpone the launching of the new Israel Public Broadcasting Corporation by 2 more weeks until the 15th of May. Despite efforts to delay the start of the new public broadcaster, there are still no plans to incorporate English news in any future programming. We're trying to do everything we can to influence decision makers and stress the significance of continuing English television broadcasts. If you wish to help us in this campaign, please write to the Minister of Communications, Tzachi Hanegbi, asking to keep English TV news alive. His email address and fax is on the screen below. That email is sar@moc.gov.il. Together, maybe we can all make a difference. And police recommendations. Under the current status quo, Jews and now... In local money matters, shares were up on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, while the shekel strengthened in foreign currency trading. Here are the numbers. And the IBA weather team says skies will remain partly cloudy today. Temperatures will remain unseasonably high in the mountains and inland regions, but will drop in the coastal plain and northern Negev. Here are the highs and lows at home and abroad. And that's all for this newscast. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same channel, when Yael Shir will be at this desk. Until then, I'm Laura Cornfield wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.